All right, good afternoon and welcome to the March 26th meeting of the Albany Court District Commission. We'll go around the room and introduce ourselves. My name is Georgette Stephenson, Chair of the Albany Court District Commission.
I'm Joe Clarkin, the Commissioner and Treasurer.
Howard Bagley, Commissioner.
Tony Basso, Business Development and Marketing Manager. Lee Disney, Maritime Minister.
No Maloney, Local 1518, Secretary Treasurer.
David Martino, Vice President, Local 1518. Jim Gallagher, ILA, Local 1518 President.
I'm Jim Taylor. I'm Assistant General Organizer of the International Insurance Association.
Tom McGinnis, IPA of Fort Walden.
Annette Gaskers, Fort Walden.
Ring, General Manager, Federal Marine Terminals.
Megan Daly, Economic Development, Fort Walden.
Patty Jordan, General Counsel. Eric Smith, Director of Internal Controls and Enterprise Analysis.
Richard Hendrick, General Manager.
Okay, so because we have some guests, we will add a public comment period time immediately following the approval of the minutes. So I will accept a motion unless anyone has any edits or changes from the minutes from our February 28th board meeting.
I will be adopted minutes of February 2018.
All in favor? Okay, so we will open it up. If there is some interest in public comments, you have up to 5 minutes, and then they will be reflected in the minutes. So if any of you would like to speak, please.
Yes, Madam Chairman. Thank you. Once again, my name is Jim Taylor. I'll be less than 5 minutes. We decided to attend today's meeting based on some recent, I'll call them a hiccup, not even a major problem. Depends on how you look at it, whether it's a problem or not. So there's a number of ways of resolving that issue, and we decided that we were going to start attending the meeting because we would like to be a more productive part instead of standing outside waiting for things to happen. We feel that, first, with respect to everybody in the room, everybody has their own fields that I'm sure they're well respected in, or they wouldn't have been appointed to these positions. And we feel that it's important to have the people that actually move the cargo to and from the vessel on and off the terminal. So we're just here to participate and stay on top of things that maybe we should have been looking at for many years. We feel that our mortgages and pensions and all the things like that require us to be a more productive stakeholder than just sitting and waiting for vessels to come. We think we have a common goal as the commissioners, and that's to help create cargo flow through the port and create family-sustaining jobs. It's a very simple and common message. So if anybody has any questions for us, it doesn't have to be today. We just want the court community to know that we're willing to meet with anybody at any time to try to work things out. And looking at some of these things for the first time, our goal is to bring more vessels in there if possible. And if we can be any part of that with some of the communications that we have with shippers, carriers, or whatever, we think we could help participate in that way. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak? Or? Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so earlier today we had our audit committee meeting, and from the report from UHY who conducted the audit, it was a very good, strong year. The numbers are great with the investment that's taking place at the port, with our grants, our capital investments, as well as from the staff, good expense containment. It's always a word you want to hear from your auditors when you're reporting, as well as a really good, easy audit process because of the internal controls that Rich and the team has set up. So the audit committee adopted the draft. We did have a single audit which we were required to do once we hit over $750,000 in federal grants that we received. So last year we received $1.2 million, so a single audit was done, and we anticipate that a single audit will be necessary at least next year and probably the year after as we go through the federal grant money that we received for capital improvements here. We also reviewed the committee charter, of which we are not recommending any changes to that charter at this time. Anything else I need to?
No, I think that covered it.
Great. Okay, so in your packet is a resolution for a lease with Ardent Mills. It's something we've talked about for the last couple of meetings, but I will let Rich give the final details on that.
As of Friday, March 23rd, Cargill Corporation, as we know it, has ceased operations at the Port of Albany. They have turned over their lease, which was approved by the board at a December meeting, to a subsidiary that they are 40% owner of, Ardent Mills. The terms of the lease are still being addressed. We need to do a 90-day statement to the governor, the comptroller, the Senate, and the Assembly, and the authority's budget office that lays out in detail the entire term of the negotiated lease. Ardent Mills has pledged during the course of the term of the initial lease that they will be putting upwards of 10 to as much as $20 million into the building to modernize it, and the intent is to also make it an offloading facility for barge and ship traffic for incoming grain to be processed. The 90-day statement will go out next week, Pat? It'll go out this week so that we can enter into the long-term agreement with Ardent at the beginning of this summer.
We had a pretty good article in the paper about a week and a half ago that I think laid out the whole business case that Cargill had. Cargill had the reason that they were doing this, and I think it pretty much reinforced all the things we have been talking about previously. Yeah, and talking just about where the geographic distribution of the materials were imported versus exported.
Does anyone have any questions for Rich? Okay, if not, I'll take a motion for resolution 4-2018. The parcel carries a market value of $43,000 annual rent per acre. It is a 20-year lease with 2 5-year extensions, and this resolution authorizes the general manager to execute the necessary documents, including the 90-day filing, to effect the disposition of the parcel for the terms that I just stated. Would now take a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So the next item for consideration, this is also something we've been talking about how we are looking to finance some of the continued growth and development of the port. And so before you have resolution 5-2018 for obtaining bond counsel Hudson Ross in an amount not to exceed $15,000. Did you want to add anything about?
No, I think you hit on all the high points. As Georgette mentioned, this is something we've talked about over several meetings over the past year or so. I have a lot of experience with Hodge and Russ. They're an excellent firm. The type of structure we could be looking at, they've done this work for other municipalities throughout the state. So what this resolution will do is allow us to engage the firm, and from that engagement, there could be, probably will be, additional action for the board to take at a later date, depending upon the structure that is developed.
What time frame are we looking to get this primary amount of work done with Hodge and Russ?
We had expressed to them, and I want to say it was a
I think we were thinking 3 to 6 months would be the density of the work.
Right,
Would be
right.
the intensity of the work.
we're said we want to really go quickly on that. They've done some of the preliminary evaluations from the research that we've done. Once the structure is determined, setting it up doesn't take a terribly long amount of time.
I'm not concerned about the capability of the firm, I'm concerned about the capacity. And this is in the context of, they are an excellent firm, they are very busy at this point. They're doing a lot of work with the long-term control plan and the individual municipalities. There's been a tremendous amount of financings that all the pool communities are doing. So my only suggestion is to assure that the primary attorney you're working with has a backup that can be as responsive to your issues as the primary attorney is.
It's a great suggestion. We'll note that.
It's a good point. I just would note, as we've been meeting, we've had at least 2 or 3 meetings so far, not under the contract, and we've been fairly good on the timing and the responsiveness.
It's a good sign that bond council's busy and actually tonight.
Yeah, everybody's excited about this.
Are there any other comments or questions? If not, I'll take a motion to approve Resolution 5-2018 to develop the financing structure in order to move forward with desired future development plans and engaging Hudson Ross at a cost not to exceed $15,000.
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Aye. The next item is we are adding a few board members onto being allowed to sign bank and investment notes. Adding our treasurer and myself as the chair. So the resolution is authorizing or allowing the authorization for myself, Joe Coffey, General Manager, Rick Hendrick, Eric Smith, as well as Pat Jordan, our General Counsel, to be signatories on our bank financial stuff. Anything else on that?
I would say this is just a basic housekeeping under our internal control program.
So if no one has any questions, I'll take a motion to approve Resolution 6-2018.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, so at this point I'll turn it over to Rich. It's been, I do want to say, nice job with the audit. It's nice to come and to know that we have really, the controls that you put in place, that we're reaping those benefits in the audit.
Good team effort.
Yeah, so thank you for that. And 2, I also want to say it's been really fun to see the port on social media. So the videos of the work that you guys are doing, which I know you're going to be talking about, I've seen it on Twitter and on Facebook, and so excited that we're sharing that with the region, because I know most people don't understand the impact and the work that is happening here. So please thank Joe. I've definitely been seeing it, and it's nice to see on there. But so Rich, I'll turn it over to you to talk more about our project.
Okay, the work project, we're meeting with the engineering firm and the contractors on Wednesday of this week to get a scope of work as we go forward with the new construction season on the expansion of the Ro-Ro ramp, and also any changes that are going to be incorporated into the new Ardent Mills lease that would impact any of the work that's going on in the dock down there. We are working with our engineering firm as well as an architectural firm on the plans for the south end of Smith Boulevard, where Greco Construction is going to be vacating the premises this summer after a 42-year lease and run. We're looking at how we can either redevelop that property or take it down. Work is ongoing at Westway, where they experienced a leak in one of the tanks last month. We've worked with them. They've sealed off the leak, and then as soon as the product is gone, they'll drain that tank completely and have the firm come in to do the work to re-secure the tank and put it back in operation. And we met this morning with contractors on the Big Lip warehouse. There's a meeting week pre-steel meeting. We expect everything within the next 12 weeks to be completed on the building, or at least at substantial completion by, we're hoping June 30th. But the steel is supposed to start going up on Wednesday, and we'll meet with the other trades to get them in there to do their work with the electric, the heat, ventilation, and the sprinklers. I think that's about it for now.
So does that include 6 and 7, sort of combine them together here properly and
Yes.
If I can just add something that kind of ties into, we had a little water main issue, the 12-inch main that I think I was telling you about that comes under the tracks. That was a secondary feed to the port. We had elected as a department at that point not to repair that line, but to provide the secondary water feed to the port from Church Street. So we actually, we were going to put like almost 2,000 feet or 1,600 feet of pipe in. We found a 12-inch main that Global actually put in back in 1991, intended to dedicate to the water department, but I don't think there was any other record of that, but we clarified all that, so it makes the connection we have to make to the port for the secondary feed a little bit shorter and easier. So that's what you're seeing Keller doing down at Church Street now. So we're locating and mapping and finding the necessary connections to make that happen. So at some point we can talk to you about what, if anything, we may want to do with that 12-inch line that's out there. Our intent would not be to try to fix that because of where it is. If the port felt at some point that was an important connection to make, we would likely look to have a conversation with you about maybe directionally drilling a replacement line that would go through there, but we may want to think about how that would be funded. Since we already have 2 connections, there doesn't seem to be an immediate sense of urgency to make that repair that line. Just a heads up for your information.
Yeah, the National Grid work and all that, moving the lines and stuff, that all went smoothly and...
So far, we're still working with National Grid for the movement of the lines, the overhead lines. We're waiting for those final plans from National Grid to be proposed so that we can get the line on the corner dropped down. They are working with the Albany County Sewer Department for an easement, because one pole will go on the inside at the very southeast corner of the sewer department property, which will carry the power and move it off of the new warehouse, so that we can continue getting trucks around the corner carrying cargo out of here.
Thanks, Jim. It was nice when something like that, right?
Serendipity.
Right. All right, so Tony and Bill, you want to give us an update on the last month and year to date?
Thank you, Chairperson Stebbins. Does everybody have their ships, barges, and tonnage report in the handout? Before I go on, just want to make a statement that on April the 4th, I'm going to be making a presentation to the midshipmen at Kings Point, the U.S. Merchant Academy. Those are the people who will be graduating with degrees in marine logistics, security, marine transportation, and engineering. So those are future mariners. We'll be talking about ports and terminals, presenting to them. Okay, if you would take a look at page 1, that's the ships and barges report. And the first item on, we're comparing February 18 versus February 17. And the chart in the top left-hand corner, you see that we run into these peaks and valleys, whereby in both 17 and 18, there were no export vessels or barges. Now, if you shift over to the right, that's the inbound or import. 5 last year, 4 this year. Now, shifting down to the year-to-date, go down to the blue column. 13 last year, 7 this year. A reduction of 7. If you take a look at the top, it's a heavy lifting project cargo. 9 versus 2. Then, if you would shift down to the bottom and take a look, last year, 2017, we had 10 inbound vessels. And last year we had the Lordstown, Ohio, and the Wilkes-Barre heat recovery steam generation movements for those facilities that went up in that area. Needless to say, they didn't repeat this year. Now, March is kind of slow also, and I mentioned about the peaks and valleys, which we certainly know we have. April looks a lot better. We're anticipating about 8 vessels in April. Any questions on that page? If you would, turn to the next one, tonnage report monthly. And once again, top left, that's outbound or export. No tonnage. On the inbound side, last year, 25,241. We're looking at the chart on the right, the inbound or export. And 16,871 this year, a reduction of over 8,000 tons. And that's in 2 categories. The top, heavy lift project cargo, and also molasses and fertilizer. So we're even, not even, but down about 3,800 tons on the molasses and fertilizer. And if you would then go down to the February 17 totals, the total column there for the year January through February is 25,241, just a little over 16,800 for 2018. We're down around 8,370 tons, or 34% overall for the month. Then, page 3, the tonnage report year-to-date. Year-to-date, 2017, top left, outbound export, 3,477 versus over 10,000 in 18. We're up around 6,800 tons on the outbound side. But if you shift over to the chart on the right, the inbound or import, we're down around 10,500 tons. And that comes into play between the heavy lift project cargo and the molasses fertilizer, as mentioned previously, and our wood pulp is down somewhat. We usually average around 40, we've been averaging around 40,000 tons of wood pulp annually. And now, if you go down to the next one, the year-to-date totals. Last year, 30,905. This year, 27,179, down around 3,800 tons, or 12%. So we're running about 12% lower in tons for the year.
How do you think, so with March almost over, do you think the first quarter is going to be about where we had projected? A little down?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Close.
Yeah. First quarter is not great. And for the rest of the year, exports are going to be slow in the heavy lifting project. Now, if you would turn to the next page, those are the longshore hours, and the chart on the left is comparing 2017 versus 18. We're down a substantial amount, and at this point in time, I'd ask Bill Reed, our general manager of our stevedore terminal operator, Federal Marine Terminals, to make some comments, if you would, please, Bill.
Yeah, your question, George. Yeah, the first quarter is pretty much where we thought it would be, and because at the beginning of the year, we just didn't know what the schedules were going to be. Obviously, everything has slipped. We've gone from a very busy first quarter last year to nothing. But, as Tony mentioned, we're looking at 8 to 9 vessels for the month of April. Basically, for the 2 projects that we have inbound, Cricket Valley and Fairview, between April and right through what they're saying October, there's probably upwards of 20-25 vessels due for these projects and quite a volume of cargo. So as we're not seeing the numbers now, we should see these numbers come in the next second into the third quarter, absolutely. As well as some new things. A lot of project coming in. Pulp is holding steady. We're getting calcium back. We're going to see another 10,000 ton of calcium in April. And I've had quite a few inquiries recently on some other projects. There's some weight sniffing around, and so I think going forward, second and third, I think we'll head back up again.
George, I think, again, this is where I kind of struggle with the lagging and leading stuff. You know, these are lagging indicators, and is there any way, and I realize that the variability in forecasting this thing is enormous, where you can almost look at kind of a bar of best and worst, you know, looking at a 3-month or 4-month window, looking out, anticipating the next quarter, maybe not the fourth quarter, but anticipating the second quarter and the third quarter, just kind of looking at, you know, what kind of shift numbers or longshore hours or tonnage we can look at from the most conservative to, you know, the most favorable or the least favorable, like on a bar. You know what I'm thinking about?
So having a last page in here, here's what we expect.
Yeah, again, understanding it's variable, we're not asking anybody to, you know, put their next paycheck on it. It's interesting to just get a sense of predicted variances based on our best guess at the time.
Yeah.
And again, that's that leading indicator. Just a thought.
It's a little easier to do that now as we start to get the information in. Beginning of the year, they're not feeding me with the second and third quarter info. Like you said, I know there's let's say 9 shifts. You know, we can estimate how many hours per shift, estimate times the number of people working, and it gives you kind of a ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, we're only looking at maybe a 3-month look ahead, not a 9-month look ahead, because that gets to be pretty difficult. The confidence level in that bar to look at is, you know, that bar gets a lot bigger from top to bottom, most favorable, least favorable. But it quantifies a little bit our work reports, marking of business development without releasing any information about who. Yeah, we're just looking at how much or what, you know. Thank you.
Jill, do you have anything you want to talk about on the longshore report? Longshore hours?
We hope to bring them back real soon.
So April, really, right? A couple of weeks?
Start in April, yeah.
In April, that's
going
when,
forward, yeah.
good time starting.
Any other questions on that?
No.
Okay, so I know Tony has given us the date of June 14th for Port Industry Day. We're anticipating great weather and fun times had by all. But Tony, are there any new updates on our event?
The only thing that changed from last month, since we've added a person who's going to be using the Twitter and Facebook and everything, that'll be a plus. And we'll be making an announcement in early April, sort of like a email blast for everybody to save the date, June 14th, Thursday.
So we have a couple other items for under other business. So every year, as part of our requirement as an authority, the board fills out a confidential evaluation of board performance. So in your packet, you can see the items here for 2017. I will be working with Rich, you know, obviously with the goal of every answer to be in the fully agreed column. So I will be working with Rich on some of those items and seeing how we can move some of those over there. Does anyone have any questions on the?
Do you have enough information based on the summary to discern what some of the issues were?
So I will definitely be talking to board members. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then also in your packet is there's a memo from Eric about our assessment of the effectiveness of our internal controls. Eric, did you want to?
I don't have anything to add to the memo other than this being a annual requirement of our public authorities. So a portion of the memo identifies broadly some of the activities undertaken this year as part of the internal control program, and then the necessary assessment language is also included as well.
So this is another annual requirement.
It is.
Filing.
It is.
Does anyone have any questions for Eric?
Maybe just an observation. I've been on the board now for 4 years, and when I look at this now, I look at it as more than just a checklist. I look at it as a result of a work product of you and your staff that I think have addressed every issue that has been raised previously with auditors and others. And I think you guys are doing an outstanding job.
Thanks, Joe.
And I commend you for your leadership and diligence in that effort.
Science. Okay, so also included in our packet is our performance measurements and the results from 2017.
So again, and to echo the comments Joe was just making, those are obviously lagging indicators. This report is another requirement under public authorities law. I think, and I've said this before, I'll acknowledge that. But I think a goal, and maybe this could dovetail into the discussions you're going to have with the board and then working with the staff, we may be able to sort of combine, the items you just talked about, Georgette, with, how can we reflect that as part of metrics, right? Growing the list of metrics that address our current mission statement or a revised mission statement if we're able to do so this year. And I think then that becomes a more useful tool, one that can serve greater utilization than just compliance purposes.
Right, going from compliance to more direct.
I think it really becomes a tool then that we can use throughout the year.
Yeah. So then also included in your packet is a monthly financial update. Again, this is, well, we do show year to date. We are only in month 2, but this covers February, the month of February. And did you have any points you wanted to highlight?
Nothing substantial this early in the year. I think as of December, I presented some ratios. Now that the audit's wrapped up, I'm going to get some feedback from UHY, and again, the goal, even on a quarterly basis, to incorporate some leading indicators to that. But for purposes of just this monthly report, there's no significant, what I detail significant budget variances projected at this time. We did see, or we have realized, some unanticipated dockage and security revenue from a vessel call earlier in January and February. Any variances that are on a year-to-date basis, particularly under salaries, are within that category are about $37,000 or $38,000 of reimbursable or billable costs. So it's not a variance of that magnitude. The remaining amount is based on accruals for payments made in March, but were recorded as February expense. And the other items are really just driven by timing more so than anything else. We are seeing slightly below budget on our under non-operating expenses, amortization, interest, and other charges. That's driven primarily by the variable rate foreign preserve bonds. We're now in an escalating interest rate environment, so I don't anticipate ending the year in that category as a shortfall, but it's just difficult to ascertain how much off that will be.
Anyone have any questions? Is there any items for executive session? No. Okay, so our next board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 25th at 12:30. And if there's no other items for discussion, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Jinx.
Aye. All right, we're officially adjourned. Thank you.